Okay, earlier when I was saying that I like to keep everything simple when I'm making my bags, well, this is one of those rare occasions when I will do a lot more as far as detail than I would normally do. For example, and I want to show you this bag because we're talking about zippers. I put a zipper here at the top. I put another zipper here. I put some hardware here. I got buckles on the side, which is unusual for me. And I have rings on the top of the strap, on the back side. I have studs. I have another zipper, another buckle, which comes off like this. I have another buckle, and even on the other side I have buckles. So even though I like simple, every now and then I will do something that is a little unusual for me to do. But like I say, I'm more into the simplicity of making something, but you can take the same process that I'm showing you and you can do a lot with it, even by putting a zipper at the top for the finishing. So it's I just want to just show you this one here. Okay, now that we have the pattern cut out, which is going to give us our front and our back, and we have decided on where we're going to put the zipper, the next thing we're going to decide is the leather. It's choosing the leather. One of the things about making a tote bag, you don't want the leather to be too thick. And it also depends on how you're going to put the bag together. And the reason why I say that is, for example, if we was going to make a tote bag and it's going to fold over. See, this one here folds over. And if we was going to do that, we want to make sure that the leather is not too thick. Now, this leather here, this is pretty thick. So if we had to fold this, I mean that's pretty thick. And where the problem will come is right in this area right here. So when we fold it over, and well, matter of fact, when we sew these two pieces together, so now we're going to make it double the thickness. And then once we sew it together, then we have to fold it over and even become more thicker. So it's like sewing these two pieces together. Sewing these two pieces together. Once they're sewn together, this is this area right here. Okay, so once they're sewn together, then they're turned outward like this, and then you have to turn them over. So which is going to make that so thick. So you want to make sure that your leather's not thick, and you'll know. I mean, your instinct will let you know that's too thick. And this leather here is 2.5 ounces. 2 1/4, and that's pretty thick. And one thing you have to remember is that when you're buying leather and they say it's 2 ounces or 3 ounces or 4 ounces, well, a lot of time if you put a gauge on it, it's really not what they say it is. I'm not sure why, but it could be off, up or down, and but that's just how they sell it, and everybody does it different. Now this leather here, This leather is 1 ounce. So it's more than half the thickness of this leather here. So we're going to go with this leather here because, I mean, if you take this and you just kind of ball it up in your hand, well then you know that this will work a lot better than this here. This is thick, it's stiff, so you would not want to use this leather here. But on the other hand, you don't want the leather to be too thin. You know, if you're trying to use like a lamb skin or pig skin, that's my opinion. That's too thin to be doing a tote bag. So now that we have selected, oh, one other thing. Now, if you was going to make a bag like this, see this bag here, I did not fold it at the top. Basically what I did was that I took the lining and the bag itself, the front of the bag and the back of the bag, and what I did is I put them together. See if I can open this up. Kind of show you what I'm talking about. Basically what I did was that I took 2 pieces and I put them together to where this is the way that was put together, where I have a zipper set in here, and then I basically just took the lining and it went to the back like this. So stitching this was no problem. So for me to stitch this, it was no problem because I did not have to fold the leather. So you can use leather this thick, but it just depends on what you're planning on doing at the top of the bag. If you're planning on folding it, it's too thick. But if you're going to put 2 pieces together, and sometimes people will use a piping to go around the top to give it a finished look. And that's basically what that's for, is to give it a finished look. You don't have to put it on there, but it gives it a finished look. So now that we have our leather selected, now what we're going to do, we're going to take the pattern, and we're going to trace it onto the leather and cut it out. Okay, now that we have selected the leather we're going to use, what I'm going to do, I'm going to open up the leather to make sure that it's nice and clean, there's nothing on it that I do not want on my product. So I know it's nice and clean, and you know, even some people might ask, you know, how do you get the wrinkles out or the creases out of the leather? I don't even worry about that. I make the bag, and you know what, once you make the bag, you don't even see it. I've never had problems with it. So now some other people may have problem with it, or they may think it needs to be just totally flat with nothing showing. But once we make the bag, you'll see you will not have a problem with it. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to turn it over, and I did not find any marks that I need to try to avoid. So now what I'm going to do, because this leather doesn't have any type of patterns on it, I can turn the pattern in a direction I want it to, and it wouldn't matter because I don't have to try to match something up. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to try to get the most out of this that I can. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to trace this out. Now, there's 2 different things you can Well, there's a number of different things you can use to trace it out, but we normally like to use the chalk. The pen will give us a nice, cleaner trace. If you use the pen, just remember that when you fold your leather back up, you got to make sure that that ink mark is not setting on top of your leather, which is facing the front of the leather, because it will bleed over onto your leather. So I'm going to trace this out. Now, even though we've already cut out the window for the pocket, I'm not going to trace this out. I'm going to draw a complete new pocket. But what I will do, this line here, I'm going to put a mark here so I will know this is where I want the pocket to drop down. So what I will do, I will draw out, trace out the second half, which will be the back. I will flip the pattern over. So in that way, when I start putting them together, they're going to match up. You don't want to trace out both of them from the same side. Even though they, they should be the same, but if they're off a little bit, when you flip it, everything will match up. So I'm going to take this, I flip it, and then I will trace out the other half of the bag, which will be the back side. So now I have a front and a back. And so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to get a ruler. I'm going to draw a line across here just like I did on the pattern. And then I will cut out the, trace out the window for the zipper. Okay, now that I have it traced out, what I'm going to do, I'm going to cut it out. So what I will do, now I can use the scissors and cut it out, but I can get a cleaner cut with the rotary cutter because I have some straight lines. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to cut it out, so when I start cutting out the bag itself, I'm not trying to handle the whole hide. I'm just only handling the piece that I'm trying to trim out. So I'll take this. Okay, now what I will do, I will cut out the bag, the straight lines using the rotary cutter. Remember, I'm keeping pressure on the ruler so it do not move on me. Now, I will not move the ruler until I make sure that it is cut all the way. So I'll turn the leather, cut the bottom. what I will do, I will cut the top is straight. Now what I will do where we have the curves, I will use the scissors to cut it. And I'm just cutting right on top of the line. That is one side of the bag. Now I will cut out the other side of the bag. Now this is the side that I put the mark on, so I'm going to put the mark on the inside because once I trim it out, these marks will disappear. So I'm putting it on the inside so I will know where I need to start putting it in my pocket. And now what I will do is cut out the curves. So now what I will do, I will cut out the window for the pocket. And I'm doing the same process as I use when I cut it out for the template. I want to draw me a straight line across. And I made my My pocket, it was 2 inches from the side. So I'm going to make this 2 inches. Now I made my window 1/4 inch wide. So let me get a ruler to do that. Okay, I made my window 1/4 inch wide. And again, this is why I say the rulers, these clear rulers, I mean, they are great when it comes to doing something like this. So what I can do, I can lay this ruler down and be able to see exactly what I'm doing. Okay, this is my window. And just like I did with the pattern, I'm going to have a starting point and a stopping point. And this will keep me from cutting past this line here, because I do not want to cut past that line. That is the stopper for the window. So what I will do, and again, when I talked about not cutting your window to where you're cutting into the window, then cutting out, because if I make a mistake, I can cut into this. But in this way, when I'm cutting into the window, if I make a mistake, I'll cut into that window and not into the leather itself. Now again, to cut this window out, you need a rotary cutter and you need your X-Acto knife. So what I'm going to do, and I always stand up when I'm cutting with my rotary cutter, because I need to be able to put pressure on my ruler so it does not move. So I will start at my starting point, push down, I cut. Up to my stopping point. And then I'm going to turn it around, do the same thing. My starting point and my stopping point. So this cuts my window out, but I still need to cut up to this line here, which will be the stopper. So I will take the X-Acto knife, and what I will do, I will go back to where I started, where I stopped. Cut, I just kind of roll the knife, cut up to that stopping point, which is the stopper, cut the other side, and this way I can be very precise of where I stop my cut. Cut this again. See how I cut right up to this line? And do the same thing on the other side. Now what I need to do is that I need to cut across here, across this line, without cutting too far. So I will get my X-Acto knife and I would change out this blade to where it have more of a straight cut. And I'll just cut this out. See how I cut that out? I'm going to do the other side. See that? Now I'll get a zipper and show you what it's going to look like with the zipper in. Okay, now this is the window for your zipper, and now what we would do is that we would take the zipper, lay it down, and lay your front of your bag on top, or it could be the back of your bag. It's whatever you decide. You may want to put a zipper on both sides, but just to kind of show you what the zipper window would look like. Open it up, close it up. Now, like I said before, when I was making the pattern, you can make this window at least a ½ an inch wide, but because we're going to put a fabric lining in, we need as much of this part of the zipper as possible. It just makes it much easier to attach the fabric lining to it from the other side. And I'll show you that and show you what I mean when we get to that. Okay, now that we have the pocket, the zipper window cut out, and we have the zipper lined up, the next step we're going to do, we're going to glue the zipper in, and then we will attach the fabric pocket. So you'll know how to do that.